middle school registration. Like for, I think she's going to do it. Last night was her schedule. Tonight was activities, so she's going to be in the color guard. Do a flag and stuff like that. My daughter's in high school. I'm old? You're old? I'm old. Daughter being in high school is not old. Well, that's a good idea.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting, August 1, 2017. We have a moment of silence. Comments from the public? State your name.
Beverly Sue Ryan, Seminole Drive. I just wanted to give Pat and his crew and the tree crew an attaboy because after the devastation that we experienced, a week ago Saturday night, down in the avenues in Erie and Fayette were hit harder than we were up on the hill by the hospital. Well, with the exception of a couple of places on Vernon Street. But that crew had our street absolutely cleaned, raked, chipped, and were gone by 11 o'clock Wednesday morning. So I just wanted you to have an attaboy because I know you catch grief over the trash. But that was, they really did. They didn't waste any time. They just went right on down the street and stopped. And I think there was about a crew of 3 or 4. And they were chipping and shredding, and they were just going to town. They were gone by 11. So thank you, Pat.
Anybody else?
Rich Groves, North Kansas City Business Council. There's probably a lot of things I should thank you for, but there's 2 in particular. One is the parking lot, the approval to pay a little bit of rent for the use of that parking lot in front of Paul and Jack's. That gives about 100 parking spaces. So I noticed the sign up now and the gates there. So thank you for approving that. That's a big help. And the other is thanks for the support for funding the commercial that we filmed. It's complete. It'll be used in the Omaha market in a couple of weeks, about middle of the month, and we'll have it on Facebook and websites and be available for you all to see. It's a 30-second commercial. It's a cascade of impressions, kind of as you might experience it. Different people wearing GoPro. To experiencing bicycle riding, climbing, Le Mans Bakery, some of the beer places, pickleball, Dag Park, all of this crammed into 30 seconds. So it's fast moving and very positive for North Kansas City. So thank you.
You know, in addition to that, I think that we all owe NT Realty a real thank you for allowing us to use our parking lot. Okay, anybody else? Hearing none? Okay, consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7.
Change order number 3, Parks and Recreation Center, security access, card reader doors, door framing, and hardware.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the building official, David Harris.
Mayor and council, this change order is in the amount of $4,084.63, and it's to request approval to provide and install hardware modification and electrical wiring for access card readers to the east and the south doors of the Park and Recreation Building that's currently under construction. The Parks Director and I discussed and agree that these doors will be accessed more frequently, but they will be secured, so having card access readers is better and would be an issue where it would be actually safer for staff to be able to access it quickly. The original design included a card reader for the front door only. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Zach?
So the card access would probably be, were these doors scheduled to have just key entry before?
That
And
is
now they're
correct.
they're gonna be card entry, probably just quicker for them to put the card up to the reader instead of fishing out the keys and looking for which key it is?
That is correct.
Okay.
Mayor? Do these doors, or at least one of them, does it automatically stay open? Like if you're carrying in heavy packages or things to the kitchen, or they're just regular?
It's time delayed, so it gives you a time to open it and stay open for a while you get in it, but once it locks, it'll secure back.
But is there a mechanism to hold it open? Like an automated door?
Yes,
Oh, okay, there is a mechanism to hold it open for a certain amount of time, and then it locks back up.
yes, part of the programming.
Okay, thank you.
Brian?
Where are we at currently with the contingency fund after this?
I'm sorry, I was just making a note to myself. I'd done up a little thing. We are about, but I'm sorry, I failed to bring it with me. The contingency fund was about $61,000. We've used about 30 so far. So we've still got about approximately $31,000 in contingency. With 5 months to go in the project, so I'm not going to kid you that we're not going to probably have some more change orders to bring to you, and hopefully not get past that contingency amount, but it's possible.
Anybody else? A motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Number 8.
Financial Disclosure Ordinance, Bill number 7133, ordinance number 8930.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. This is a routine ordinance that the council adopts every year. Missouri law requires that political subdivisions with annual operating budgets over $1 million adopt an ordinance in an open meeting by September 15th, making public their method of disclosing potential conflicts of interest. If the city doesn't adopt its own method of disclosing conflicts of interest by September 15th, it would automatically fall under the more complex state reporting requirements. So we do bring this to you every year in almost identical form. The only officials that need to file a financial disclosure statement the following year: the chief purchasing officer of the city, chief administrative officer, the full-time general counsel, and those employees and elected officials who've had a transaction of more than $500 with the political subdivision.
You want a motion?
Move to approve.
Can I point out, the bill number really should be 7216 and the ordinance 9013.
What was that again?
7216 for the bill number and 9013 for the ordinance number.
Thank you. First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain officials.
I move that bill number 7216 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9013.
Second.
Call a roll?
Councilmember Lodo? Yes. Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
An ordinance of the City of North Kansas City, Missouri to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain officials.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
When do we have to have this in by?
It's on there, it's May.
When does this have to be turned in?
No, he wants to know when his
Michael.
return is.
When do we have to have our disclosures filed by?
It's May I think, yeah, no later than May 1.
Thank you.
Okay,
Number
9.
Budget Resolution, Tree Inventory Grant, Resolution Number 17-052.
Eric,
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Public Works Director, Pat Hopper.
Yes, in January of 2017, the city received a grant for the tree inventory from the Department of Conservation. The grant was in the amount of $22,000. Our reimbursement was in the amount of $22,723. The city spent a total of $26,165, and our share was reimbursed to the city. So this is a budget resolution that will allow us to use the amount that we spent then that we received from the Department of Conservation to get us through till October 1st, which we could really use. So ultimately, it will be $22,723 that will be added to our account, which is nearly at zero right now, to get us through.
is the inventory done?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 10.
Budget Resolution, Temporary Services for the Fire Department, Resolution Number 17-053.
Eric?
Thanks, sir. I'll call on the Fire Chief, Gary Fisher.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item for tonight is to provide funding for a temporary administrative assistant for the fire department. Lorraine retired effective today, and so we need somebody to maintain the billing processes and the filing processes and ambulance processes for the next 3 weeks until we get somebody hired. The idea is that she's been with Lorraine now for about a week and a half, and she's learned most of the processes. So we're going to go through a hiring process, and she is interested in applying for the job, so she'll be part of that hiring process. But we'll go through the hiring process, and then if we do not select her and we do select somebody else, the whole point of this is for her to learn the processes and then transfer that on to Lorraine, or to the new administrative assistant when she comes on, or he comes on. So this would get us, we don't think we're going to spend $9,500, but I just want to make sure that we don't run short on the end. So this would just be to hire a temp until we can get the position filled.
Could this have been started earlier? Did you know that she was retiring? And
I'm sorry?
I mean, it looks to me like you would have started earlier to.
Well, we got her started as soon as we knew.
Oh, I see. You didn't know that Lorraine was out.
Yeah, there were some family issues that came up all of a sudden, and so she didn't have a lot of notice.
Oh, I see.
She gave us 2 weeks. She really knew about 3, but she just hadn't gotten around to telling anybody. She just missed the idea that we would hire somebody, and then so really it's just a process of circumstances why we had such a short time.
Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 11.
Approving accounts due and payable by the city through July 28th, 2017. Bill number 7217, ordinance number 9014.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through July 28th, 2017.
I move that bill number 7217 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9014.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Lodahl?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through July 28th, 2017.
Mr. Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Fire Chief, Gary Fisher.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Once again, I passed out tonight our annual report for 2016. It's a little bit late. I should have passed it out about 2 months ago, and it kind of fell off my plate. But I hope that you gleaned some good information out of it, and I'd be really open to some feedback on how we might make it better and easier to read and maybe more understandable. So if you have any suggestions, please let us know, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Gary, do we have that online if the public didn't?
We do have it on the webpage. It's on the fire department webpage. And we'll put some copies out here in the lobby for some folks.
Can you give us a dispatch update?
I'm sorry?
Dispatch update? Can you give us a dispatch update?
We can. So we've been at it for about 5 weeks. We've had some really good success stories. We've also had some problems. And so we're trying to run some of those problems to ground to find out exactly what happened. Essentially, the problems resulted in delays of response for one reason or another. We don't know why it happened, but we're trying to find that out. We're working with Mark Hassan over at Mark. He's the 911 guru, and he's trying to figure out what happened in the process. But we have tremendous success stories. And then Saturday night, a week ago, during the storm, that was kind of a mess. Both dispatch centers were swamped, and we actually had Kansas City Fire in here with 4 of their engines running calls for us because we were already completely deployed. So it was kind of a crazy night Saturday. Overall, it went pretty well, but we did have 1 or 2 issues that night that we're trying to sort out. But overall, the crews are very happy with the way it's going. We're getting good information, and the dispatch center over there at the fire department has been very cooperative, very open, and very helpful in trying to figure out these 2 or 3 issues that we had. So we're 5 weeks into it. We're still pretty early. To really give us a good sense, we're going to start running some response time numbers here pretty soon to see what that looks like. We want to get a little bit of time under our belt to, get some kind of sense of sample sizes big enough to, draw some kind of conclusions or assumptions. But we think overall that there's a consensus overall at the fire station that things are going really well.
Isn't Kansas City having some 911 problems over there for hiring and that sort of thing? I understand that
The police department is.
It's just the police department.
Yeah, it's the police department.
Okay.
Not the fire department.
Not the fire department.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you say we were deployed already on that Saturday night, were those crews here in North Kansas City deployed?
Yes.
Okay, so they were not outside.
And the great thing about Kansas City that night was that it was totally seamless. So typically we would get a call into the dispatch center, and the dispatcher would call the battalion chief and say, who do you want us to call? We would say, call X. The dispatcher would have to get on the phone, call X, and then they would respond in, which takes, as you can imagine, takes some time. KC Fire Dispatch, it was absolutely seamless. They saw that we were deployed, and so they automatically just sent their own units in. So it was just as slick as it could be.
Okay.
Good.
And when you're talking about the, the success stories and the problems, is there a way, and I know it's early on, so, we want to work through it. Can you get the council or get us a report on what the breakdown on what the success stories were and what the problems were instead of being kind of general?
I sure can. It would probably be a fairly lengthy report because it's hard to describe some of this stuff. But sure, I could sure try
like
that.
A 40,000-foot view
Yeah.
type.
Yeah,
Kind of the pros and cons.
maybe give a Reader's Digest version.
Yes.
Eric, had we decided to do a touch base on this at some point, Eric, like at 60 days or 90 days? Had we set aside a time to do that?
No, ma'am, I don't recall that we did, but we'd be happy to do that. Wouldn't you say that? Are you interested in us scheduling a council agenda item or a work session, something like that?
I'm
or?
thinking either a work session or a official council update.
So I would say 90 days, sort of 90-day review, 3 months, 3 months
Fine
in.
with me if it's okay.
We're about 1 month, a little bit more than 1 month in now,
Yeah.
so.
That'd be
So
a good
it's sort of
idea.
Like
Okay.
Yeah.
like Councilmember Clevenger says, it's a little bit of a 40,000 feet, you know,
Sure.
so we can see like the pros and cons and, you know, not personal information, but, you know, what went wrong and how did you fix it and
Sure.
what are you doing in the future to make sure.
So
it doesn't happen
did you
again.
want that written report first, or you want to do it at a work session?
I would prefer to have the written report first, I guess, if we have 90 days, but I don't know what you guys think.
Well, we'll
It'll
give
make
you
it-
something, we'll give you something for the
Something,
period that
yeah.
we've had so far, and then we can review further when we have a 90-day.
Well, I guess it all depends. If we do a work session, maybe I don't need it ahead of time, but if we do it at a council item, you know, it would be helpful to have it ahead of time so we could review it, since we won't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I guess my preference would be as we do it as a discussion, because you may draw some wrong conclusions or perceptions from a written document that doesn't really go into the detail that you
Fair
would
enough.
need. So,
Good idea.
All right, so we'll put it all together for a work session, oh, you know, a couple of months from
Yeah.
now. Okay,
Sounds good. Thank
we'll do that.
Anything else?
Yes, sir. Just a few things. First of all, I'd like to, if we can tonight, establish our budget work sessions schedule. Last year, we did this at about the dates that I'm going to propose to you now. I'd like to suggest, I think we did 2 work sessions last time. We used to do 1. I think general consensus was 2 worked better. My suggestion would be that we have one on Wednesday, September 6th, which is the day after a regular council meeting. And we do one for operating budgets and then one to focus on capital projects. So my thought would be we'd do the operating budgets at the first one, capital projects a week later on Wednesday, September 13th. Some of you are going to the Missouri Municipal League Conference, and that goes through Wednesday morning. So my thought would be schedule it for Wednesday night, both at 6 o'clock p.m. Will that work?
So it's the 6th and the 13th?
That's what I'm proposing, yes, ma'am.
I will not be able to make either of those.
Either of those.
Just because I will be on vacation,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna cancel it.
Sure, no, I understand.
No offense.
Would you like us to try to aim for some other times?
You know, if it's okay with the majority of the council, I can just catch up when I
Okay,
get back.
you'll have the budget for about a month before then, so certainly if you have any questions or anything that we can answer
Yeah, the
ahead of
meetings will
that.
go a lot shorter if I'm not there, so it might be in their best interest to do it when I'm out of the country.
The rest of the council, would those days work?
I'd like to just see it one day instead of 2.
I think
Certainly, if that's your preference, we can do that.
that's too much to do it in one sitting.
Plus, if you did it in one day, you could eliminate the Wednesday deal with the conflict down there at the conference.
Well, if we did it on the Wednesdays, there would be a
Because, you're going to be down there and driving and everything. It's going to make a person tired.
Well, again, whatever the council wants to do.
No offense, but I mean, the one session is just so long, and I'd like to be able to go over it with a fine-tooth comb. I like the 2, and it's just my opinion. I respect everybody else's opinion, but I'd like the 2 sessions.
2. I said 2.
So, the 6th and the 13th, could we plan on that?
Plan on 2.
All right, I'm going to plan on that.
As long as you don't have it on the 15th, because that's my birthday.
All right, sir.
Make sure you have some food, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody write that down?
I did.
Also would like to remind you of a special meeting that you've already agreed to, and that is on Tuesday, August 29th at 6 o'clock p.m. to set the tax rate for the city. As we've talked about before, unfortunately, we don't get the necessary assessment information from the county until usually, between middle and late August. So that should be a very short meeting, but we have scheduled that.
Is that a 7 o'clock meeting?
6 o'clock is
6
when we were
o'clock,
planning
okay.
on doing it. Also, would like to see if you would have interest sometime next week, and this would just kind of be a work session kind of thing, not for action, but we are making some pretty substantial progress on infrastructure in the redevelopment area now. A lot of the street work's completed. We've gotten a lot of other infrastructure done. And if you were interested, we thought we might have a tour of the area. We were thinking maybe get together around 5 o'clock p.m. on a night, any night that might work for you next week, and just have a tour. Probably wouldn't last more than, I don't know, is there a half an hour or so? But is that something that would interest you? And if so, what would be a day that might be a night that might be a good one?
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I think we need to do it.
Tuesdays usually you might already have open. Would you like to aim for a Tuesday, August 8th?
What if we did on the 15th before the council meeting? Would that be possible or no?
Not if we have a work session.
Oh.
Yeah, and we do have a work session scheduled. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, you could get together, at 5 o'clock and then come back here for the work session at 6. So certainly if that was something you're interested in, we could do that.
I like that idea.
That's a pretty good idea, too.
Okay. 5 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, August 15th. We'll aim for that. We'll talk to our superintendent out there. And assuming that works for them, then I'll let you know. But that's what we'll aim for.
The 8th or the?
The 15th
No,
is
the
what I'm
15th,
hearing,
yeah.
5 o'clock on the 15th, and then,
On August the 15th.
Okay.
hustle back to City Hall for a work session at 6 o'clock. Okay. And lastly, we had a situation where a few weeks ago, where one of your desk drawers got locked, and a council member left something in it and had a hard time getting in. It was sort of accidentally closed and locked. And that caused us to wonder if you need locks for your council desks at all. If not, we thought maybe we'd just remove them so we wouldn't have that issue come up again. Do you use them to secure anything? And if not, would it be okay if we were to just go ahead and remove those locks?
I've suggested it before, because I've locked it 4 or 5 times with my leg.
I think that's probably what happened. Well, if that's okay, then we'll just
take 'em out.
We'll just do that. Okay. And that's all I have. So thank you, sir.
Well, you're up.
I want to say thank you to the Parks and Rec Department for the movie in the park. Myself and my children have gone to the last 2, and it is a great time. Thank you very much. I want to say congratulations to Tim Martin for his Board of Adjustment. The Business Council, I wanted to ask about the commercial. I know that it's only 30 seconds. I didn't know if maybe that's something we could maybe do a presentation at one of the council meetings. On the upcoming items of note, the other upcoming items where no specific date is established, it does say that in spring, which is past, there'd be a Burlington Corridor Improvements, Street Banner Replacement, and Citizens Academy. I wanted to find out if we could maybe get a better estimated date on those.
Sure. Well, as you point out, we probably need to update that. The street banner replacement, of course, you discussed tonight. So that one we've done. Citizens Academy, in all honesty, we have not made progress on. It's just the rest of other business. So we will try to get that moving. The Burlington Corridor Improvements Engineering Contract. Sarah, would you like to provide a report on that?
We are interviewing engineering teams tomorrow afternoon and hope to have a contract before you all before the end of September.
I know we talked about the banners. Do you know when those will be replaced?
We need to go out for quotes for those, so we're going to try to, goal is get them done before September 30th. Get it done this budget year.
Great. That's all I have. Thank you.
I just have 2 things. One, don't forget it's bulky item pickup tomorrow, first Wednesday of the month. I have my stuff out and ready. It might be too early.
As long as the trash company remembers.
No. Today went well. Trash got picked up, and recycling got picked up. So thumbs up today. And the second thing is that I have really enjoyed the North Kansas City Farmers Market. It's on Fridays, and there's a few vendors there that I like, and so that's been great to have kick up again this summer. That's it.
I too have enjoyed the farmer's market. I think it's a great thing for North End. I wish we had half a dozen more vendors of different ilk to come in, but I understand it's hard to get them, but we try to patronize them as much as we can. Thank you, Rich, for overseeing all that.
Well, I want to remind everybody, I believe it's not this Friday, but next Friday, there's a concert in the park. Those are always good. At 7 o'clock on Friday evening. I think it's 80s music this next time, so if you got some time, get on out there. Definitely want to echo our City Treasurer Beverly C. Ryan's comments on the city crews on the storm debris pickup. I heard a couple of residents that were really impressed with what they did. So, I mean, they're a hard-working bunch of guys and gals and whoever works on it, so kudos to them. Let's see here. Maybe we'll cover this on the 15th, though. I know that we've got that road graded down there, you know, by Burger King. Is that the Spine Road or is that the Vernon extension? Do we know when we'll start pouring concrete or pavement on that?
The contractor was hoping to have the first layer of asphalt down by the end of this week and then start pouring curbs next week.
Okay, cool. And just, you know, somebody brought up the trash. Are we still in the process of rebidding that out yet? Has it gone out yet, or are we still working on the bid, or?
We got bids last week. We have an apparent low bidder. We'll be having them in shortly to firm up the negotiations and bring something to you as soon as we've got contract ready to before you do approve.
Progress. Great. The only other heard something the other day. Someone told me this. Do you guys know what a clock does when it gets hungry? It goes back for seconds. Just had to throw that in there. Dumb joke of the council meeting. So
I don't get
that's it.
Breathe through.
Boy, that's hard to follow. I would like to say thanks to the city crews, because I got calls, good calls, you know, and they appreciated the cleanup and how fast it was done. And I still see the tree guys out doing something up high on the 24th today. I don't know, I guess trimming some of the trees, but it was a really fast reaction. I know the guys worked all night the first night and then come back the next day. And so it gives a real good job, and we appreciate it. That's it.
Well, I just want to give a big thank you to the cleanup of the storm debris. Big thank you to the Public Works. Also, I want to make a mention that this Friday, August 5th, from 11 to 7, I think it's 200 block of East 18th. I don't have the exact address here. It's, where is that address? 206 East 18th. We have a new business that's coming in, and we're going to have a grand opening for a record store named FM Music. And they have vintage sounds. And that will be from 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. August 5th at the address there, 206 East 18th.
Kudos to the cleanup crews. Neighbor across the street from me lost a huge limb. It was laying across the street. I went out to go look for it, and somebody had moved it up on the sidewalk. I don't know who did it, but thank you. But, I mean, they came by and cleaned everything up. Like everybody's been saying, they were out there with brooms and rakes. You can't even tell that a tree had fallen. So we actually have an excellent tree crew right now. Also, the little store is opened up again for breakfast Monday through Saturday. So if anybody wants to go down to the little store and have breakfast throughout the week, they started opening up today on August the 1st for breakfast every morning. That's all.
Yeah, I too wanted to recognize Parks and Rec for their great work, or I'm sorry, Parks and Rec, Public Works for the great work that night. I was out about 1 a.m. just kind of see what damage there was, seeing the strong winds, and they were already out clearing trees off a lot of the streets. So that was got a lot of good comments about that, and that's all I have.
Well, all the good stuff's been said, so I'm done. Move to adjourn.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.